Okay, so we got a bit of an update on Governor Tim Walz and the VP sweepstakes, or as I like to call it, the VP election. We didn't have one. But basically, he was one of the final contenders, one of the three people in person interviewed yesterday with Kamala Harris in person. That included Mark Kelly, Governor Josh Shapiro, and Governor Tim Walz. So all three of them were there. And there's now a report from John Heilemann. I would recommend going checking out my previous video that was uploaded. Breaks it down further in detail. But he's a journalist for MSNBC and NBC. He says that it's now just between Shapiro and Walz, so he has made it to the final cut in the final Super Bowl match, the final Game 7 matchup in that final battle. And so something really interesting that happened, starting off with the Hill's article about Nancy Pelosi boosting him and all the House Democrats. Then the CNN article wrote more about Walz in their article than they did about Shapiro in the article. We're talking about Biden's thoughts on the VP candidates. It says, to be fair, that Josh Shapiro is clearly the favorite to be it, but if it was somebody else, it would be Walz. So this huge media firestorm happens, and I honestly had thought Walz's campaign was dead in the water, to be honest, because there was just simply nothing, no media coverage, no nothing, and that's usually where the smoke is, and that means where the fire is. But what we can see is the odds have gone super up, and we can see this from the betting markets. So we can check out the betting market odds here. They absolutely went insane. So what we can see here is that Josh Shapiro is a clear front runner right now at 63%, right? He's always kind of been this big front runner. It looks like Mark Kelly fell off and actually fed him heavily. They were kind of split in the 30s, almost kind of even with each other, but starting like kind of the 28th, 29th of July, it started to just fall off a cliff. So what we can see here is Tim Walz, however, was actually dead in the water in these numbers. So on August 2nd at 5 in the morning, he had a 4% chance to become the vice president, 4%. Then after this sort of swarm of the Hill article, the CNN article, all the news that Tim Walz is canceling his event, going to meet with Kamala Harris, all the fawning articles about him and everything, he starts to rise all the way up to the point where he's at 28%. Now, we were looking at this on stream. If you guys were in the stream, you saw this. He was actually all the way up to 30%. This market is actually pretty volatile. It changes a lot. This was actually all the way up to 30%. So that's even higher than a quarter chance. And a quarter chance is not a joke. That's actually pretty serious. And even like a 30% chance is huge. So he definitely has a big chance of winning, and this kind of indicates the sort of movement towards Walz and the belief that he's going to win. And it looks like it's come down to just him and Shapiro. So we can also look here at the predicted market as well. This one also having at 29 cents, so 29%, whereas here is 28, and earlier was 30 and 29. So it looks to be kind of hovering around the same amount. So he's really surging up, and we can see this here, the trend line here as well. We can see that there's a Walz hype train going on. You can see these for the Walz numbers, right? He's at 10 cents August 1st. He's now surged all the way up to 28 cents. So he's surged super, super high. So he's really, really growing. So that's crazy. That's 4 days. In 4 days, it's tripled essentially. His numbers have tripled basically. His probability on the betting market has tripled almost essentially, right? He's gone from 10 to 30%. So it's absolutely massive in terms of where he's gotten, where Walz has gotten himself right now. He's really boosted himself and gone up, and the media coverage is huge and everything's going crazy. The reports are all saying that it's something legit. And honestly, the more that I think about Tim Walz, the more that I hope he becomes a vice president. I think he really gives you a lot of opportunities, and I think he gives more possibilities of how to win than Josh Shapiro does, because I think he gives a nationwide effect of stemming young voters to come out to vote. I think he has a really good Rust Belt appeal, union voter appeal, etc. He also really outperformed in his races in Minnesota, even when Trump did a lot better. So he is like a really, really great candidate. And so hopefully this last second surge really pushes him to that position. And if the vetting process that Kamala Harris is doing supposedly is actually competent, then what we should see this is that Walz is chosen and that Shapiro is not, because Shapiro has way too many controversies. So it's slated to be released on Tuesday. The big announcement is supposed to be on Tuesday. So hopefully this last second surge pushes him to victory here as we get really close. But I'll try to keep you guys as updated as I can. Walz surging, he surged from 4% to 28% in like 3 days, 2-3 days, man. It's absolutely insane, guys. Absolutely insane.